what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Spanish-American War. So now we have already covered this in class. We're gonna look at some hypotheticals, and you're gonna decide which side of the aisle you would be on with these hypotheticals. Now, certainly the Spanish-American War was a war that people were either war hawks or they were doves. What is the difference in a war hawk and a dove? A dove doesn't want war. War hawk's ready to go to war for any reason. So when we look at the Spanish-American War, there are some people who say, well, we're getting involved in things we shouldn't be involved in, and why are we doing that? Whereas others say it is for the good of the country. So let's first talk about imperialism. Somebody tell me, what were the reasons for imperialism of the time? Give me one, John.
Turner thesis.
Hey, what is the Turner thesis?
Turner thesis is that America is kind of centered around expansion, and that since we've kind of closed off our frontier, that America is going to kind of degrade unless they find something else to expand to.
What do you mean by closed off the frontier?
Closed off the frontier means that everything to the west of the Appalachians that was involved in Manifest Destiny has kind of been civilized,
All right.
developed.
Good. Marty?
Trades with imperialism, you now have access to new resources and trading with places like China and Japan.
Very good. Trading with those islands, China and Japan, and because of trade with China and Japan, what do we now need?
Islands to refill.
Islands to refuel, because what type of ships we're using?
Steamboats.
Steamboats, so you gotta have the fuel for that. What's one more imperialistic reason? What's another reason?
White man's burden.
White man's burden, because you're gonna reach out to who?
You're going to reach out to the natives of those islands and stuff.
Who, according to Americans, have not been educated, don't have religion, all those things. They don't have the resources that we have, and it is the white man's burden to go in and try to rescue them from themselves. And so that's what we're going to look at. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to have some hypotheticals up here, and then you're going to pick either you agree with it or you disagree with it. So you see up here 7.3, the Spanish-American War. Should Congress declare war? Move to the assigned side of the room as each statement is read. So our very first one is, should the U.S. declare war if it wants a territory, such as the Philippines, that will allow it easy access to Asian markets? If you believe in the affirmative, if you will stay over here. If you don't, move over here. And you could use today as an analogy with that. All right. Wow. So we got a lot of people who are doves for the most part, trying to stay out of it. All right, over here, somebody tell me what supports your theory that America, if they want it, should go to war to get territory. All right?
So kind of with the territory, you can't really gain territory without, some sort of war, some sort of conflict. Some people may say with the Native Americans, we didn't have any conflict and we kind of just bought it off of them, but we used conflict to push them off and then gave them some money after. So that would be something to kind of analogize it with. But if you want that territory that allows that access to the Asian markets, with that, which at this point for rubber or some other resources that we would get from Asia that we don't have here in America, that because of our industrialism we needed, in order to get those resources we need territories such as the Philippines or Guam in order to either refuel or get those resources directly from them.
All right, so you're going based on survival of the fittest?
Survival of the fittest, the social Darwinistic kind of view. It's kind of a necessity in order to continue to fuel our imperialistic nature and our industrial nature as our nation continues to grow at this point, especially again with the rubber plantations that were starting to spring up in these islands and just some of the different resources they had, coal, even rocks and stuff. A lot of them are volcanic islands, so you can get granite and stuff like that.
All right, good, thanks. Now, who wants to go in the negative? Who says that look, this is not the right thing to do.
I would say since there was no aggressive like action from the Philippines towards the U.S. that they shouldn't, because if the Philippines has any allies and those allies would back the Philippines, and that would turn into an even bigger conflict. Plus, I believe like maybe through a treaty that you could establish some trading routes through the Philippines.
So you still want access to those territories for the reason John gave, but you wanna do it through something else.
And I feel like if you were to go to war, you also have to think about the casualties, because like Marco said, if they do have allies, it could be, and they may have more than we have, like materialistically, and that can be negative on American people, and we don't know like what kind of backlash it would be.
Right, okay, that's great.
Just piggybacking off of what both men said, like there could be some sort of like compromise or like peaceful transaction to where there could be like trade routes through, and then you have to look at like would the casualties be worth it just for a trade route
Would be
when there
worth
was no actual threat.
And unfortunately, what governments look at is 100 years down the road. So they do look at casualties now, but how's this gonna help us 100 years down the road? And that's how they look at it. How would we respond if other countries did this? If they just went in and went to war to take over territories?
We would interfere.
We might would interfere, especially today, right?
We
might
would
interfere.
kind of use that Monroe Doctrine. We would kind of say that, somebody would make a corollary to it, and we'd go to war most likely.
Yeah.
But again, it depends. If it's Vietnam, we might not because they're communists. It just depends on the time. It depends on the time. If it's a third world country like Yemen or Oman, we might not care as much, especially if it's our allies or somebody that we're close to, trade partner going to war. If Saudi Arabia went and tried to capture Oman or Yemen, I don't think we would try to stop it because we already have such a close relationship with them, especially with oil, something that you really have to
We
look
don't
at.
wanna do anything to anger Saudi Arabia, right? Absolutely. All right, good responses. All right, should the US declare war if a foreign ambassador insults the president by calling him weak? If you agree, yes?
No. Bro.
If you say no, over here.
Don't like it.
Sticks and stones and break my bones. In other words, we know that. All right. So let's start over here first this time. So who wants to tell me, even though somebody, first of all, what was the example?
Middle line.
The loan letter
Yeah.
directed at McKinley? Marley?
I think, especially if you're a president of a country, or, yeah, I think you should have the maturity to just like swipe it off, not really have a retaliate against it.
Uh-huh.
Because as such a powerful leader of a powerful country, any action you make can have severe effects. And I just think that's dumb.
Right?
I feel like either way, people are gonna blame you because you're the president, so whether you decide to go to war or to like be mature about it, there's gonna be some people who hate whatever decision you make.
And I feel like you shouldn't go to war because of one where like somebody calling you weak and you just kill a bunch of people just because somebody
Yeah.
called you weak. Like I can see if like the other country came and attacked you and you ain't do nothing, then they call you weak, then you need to do something. But like if you just saying that you're weak, that don't mean that. Who cares what you say?
I've been called a lot worse than weak, right? Absolutely.
And like, there's people like in like the country and stuff that are calling the president names and stuff. So like, if you're going to attack a foreign like country for like calling you
Yeah.
names, but you're not going to do it like in house, you know?
Hypocritical.
Like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. We
And it's
have
just a
people
phrase.
protest the presidents all the time, right? Absolutely,
So
yeah,
why retaliate?
yeah. So these folks say, hey, you gotta be thick-skinned, you should know that when you're president anyhow. What do you think this was maybe just, justification for going to war? Maybe? And that's not a good reason, is it? Maybe justification.
They just want to go to war. They could have been trying to like
They just
egg them
wanna go to
out to go to war.
Absolutely. All right, you guys over here, wisdom, what do you think?
I feel like it's just questioning your authority to run your own country. So you have to act in some way. Whether, I mean, it don't really necessarily have to be war, but I feel like if someone's questioning your authority information, you need to do something to show other countries like you can't just do that, because then somebody else might try to attack you because they think you're actually
Mhm.
weak.
Do we have that today, in today's government, where you have a leader that is weak, and because of that, it leads to other countries doing stuff because they're not afraid of that country anymore? Absolutely, Dakota?
As the people of the country, if Americans see that the president's getting called weak and the president not responding to it at all, that's gonna make them lose like popularity in that president, because they're gonna see the president as a weak president that doesn't like wanna go to war about anything like that, and that they're scared to go to war with other countries that insult them, so that would make them lose popularity.
And I agree with you, I do think sometimes, and I'm not saying that was the reason, but sometimes that enables other countries to do things because they don't think you're gonna go to war over stuff.
And additionally, if you kind of look at it in the context that it's in, all this different stuff that's happened with Spain already. So you kind of have the USS Maine, you have the rumors going around that they're mistreating the Cuban people, and then you have DeLone send a letter to the U.S. calling McKinley weak. Number one, McKinley is kind of the figurehead of the U.S., so he represents it on the international level as a whole, kind of represents the United States. So by DeLone calling McKinley weak, he's calling the United States weak. And number two, it can also be perceived as a sort of threat. If, think about it in just a normal situation, if somebody walks up to you on the street and calls you weak or starts insulting you, it's most likely in a threatening nature in which you feel like you have to defend yourself. So you can also kind of synthesize that with kind of what Putin's doing or Kim Jong-un in North Korea is doing. Whenever they insult the president, we kind of see it as a threat, especially because they already have a hostile nature to us. So it
That's true.
kind of warrants a reaction.
I can see it. Very good responses. All right, should the U.S. declare war if you hear rumors of countries suppressing the rights of its territories? So if you think the U.S. should get involved because you hear about a country suppressing the rights of its territories, not its own country, but its territories, if you agree, stay over here. If you don't agree, stay over here.
Territories.
Such as islands. So when we say suppressing the rights, what are we talking about?
Oppressing them in any sort of area.
What could that be? What are examples?
Putting them in camps, kind of like what happened in Cuba or supposedly happened in Cuba. You can kind of synthesize that with kind of what the British did to us, our taxation without representation. You have the quartering acts and stuff like that, it's all sorts of different oppression.
So suppressing could be anything from concentration camps to taxation,
Genocide even.
genocide. You look at taking away freedom of speech, that would be suppressing the rights of people. So we have some of that today in countries, right? So let's start over here. You hear rumors of a country suppressing the rights of territories. You think we should get involved? Why? Okay?
I think we should get involved mainly just because of the Monroe Doctrine, which pretty much made us like the police force of at least the Western Hemisphere. So I mean, since Monroe established that doctrine, it's pretty much our responsibility from now on out to like establish law.
That kind of goes with what y'all said a little while ago. We can't have a doctrine and not enforce it, because then what are people gonna say about us? We're weak, absolutely. So that's interesting. All right, Jenna, over here, you guys are saying we shouldn't.
Okay, I definitely think you should look into it, but there's obviously gonna be a lot of rumors of just anything. So you're just gonna be seen as reckless and cause you're just starting a war over a rumor. So you should look into it more and see if you can get facts.
Let me ask y'all this. If we change that word rumor to factual, there's factual evidence this is taking place, would that change which side you went on? Okay, all right. Whoa.
Who's in the scene? No, because I'm sorry. I was gonna say